Welcome back to Navigate with us. Colleen, how are you doing over there?
I'm doing good, Nate. It's been a while since we rearranged our living room for a little podcast activity, but I'm excited to be back.
Yeah, so if you actually didn't know, this is our actual living room. So this is not some studio. We're not millionaires. We don't have a mansion with a set in our basement. Plus, you can't have things in your basement. You can't have a basement in Florida.
That is very true. And you really don't want to use your attic either.
No, the attic is, it's an equally, well, always growing up, I was always scared of the basement, but I think the attic scares me a heck of a lot more.
Yep.
Here.
I'm with you. But we make do with the space we've got. And I think it's a cute little set. So anyways, glad to be back with you, Nate.
Yeah. So we were just so what's been going on? So if you saw on the YouTube posting, unfortunately a few weeks ago, I think it's 3 weeks now going on.
Yeah, 3 weeks.
Yeah, so we missed an episode here. Unfortunately, we had to say goodbye to our little Tessie dog, so our Boston Terrier, but she had fought a good long fight with cancer, but in the end, all we had done was bought her some time, and unfortunately, it was her time to leave us, and that's been really sad. We have had her for well over 13 years.
Yep. She was a good pup.
She was a good pup, but she would want us. She'd want the show to go on.
Yes, she would.
So we're dedicating today's episode in honor of Tessie.
That sounds perfect.
It's always tough to not get choked up on. I was like, Colleen, do you want to talk about this?
Make me cry, Nate.
I know. So let's move on. So other than that, we just got off our Virgin Voyages last weekend. In fact, if you're watching this, we just put out, it'll be yesterday. So this podcast is going to come out on Monday. But on Sunday, we released our first episode of just our time onboarding. So again, I think today, though, we're going to talk a little bit about kind of like what we did in Miami. We stayed at a new hotel, somewhere that we hadn't stayed before, and give you a little bit about the onboarding experience, but we're going to save a lot of that for the video. And we promise in a few weeks, once we get most of the Virgin videos out, that we will do a podcast dedicated just breaking down our overall experience, giving you our full thoughts on Virgin Voyages.
Yep, I look forward to that. I think we can talk the highs and if there was any lows, and what kind of our overall thoughts were on the cruise line and our experience, and would we sail again with them?
Yeah. So anyway, so let's talk about so we stayed in Miami. Now usually, look, like we just go over the night before. We're here in Southwest Florida. There's basically one road to get to Miami, and that's Alligator, the famous Alligator Alley. Have you ever actually seen an alligator on Alligator Alley?
I have never, but it's just kind of a long, boring road. But the problem is
Tell me about it. I have to drive.
I know. Thank you, Nate, for being the chauffeur. But it's just, it's that 2-lane road, and you got one person that wants to go 100 miles an hour, and then you got the other person that's towing a boat going 40 miles an hour.
And actually, last time we went over to Fort Lauderdale for Celebrity Apex, we got caught in some horrific traffic, and had that been our cruise day, we would have missed the boat.
Yeah. So I think it's, for us, it's smart, it's wise. It kind of, I think, takes any possible delays to our travel, like, off the table. And I think it gives us some security. So I like doing the day before. Plus, it's an excuse to go to Miami.
Yes, it's always an excuse. So always fun to go Miami. Obviously, on many of our trips, we've gone out to Miami Beach, which is different than Miami. I think people don't realize there's actually the city of Miami, which is on shore, and then Miami Beach, which is an island that actually sits right off shore. But we've gone to the beach. We've gone to a couple heat games over there.
Yeah, and it's funny. I don't think I was ever really a big basketball fan when we lived in New England, but I don't know, these Miami Heat fans and like the games, they are like high energy. They are worth going to. They're blast.
I think that's a great activity to do before your next cruise. So take a look at what's going on at the, I don't know what the arena's called. It used to be the FTX arena, but we know that didn't turn out well for FTX. Actually, I think they just locked up Sam Bankman-Fried for like the rest of his life. Pretty
Yep.
sure. But whatever the arena is now called in Miami, it's actually a really fun activity to do the night before a cruise.
Yeah, and it's family friendly. There's lots of hotels in the area, so it's walkable. I would say it's very safe. There's the Metro Mover or the People Mover that you can pick up if you are staying a little bit outside of that arena area. That takes you kind of all to the downtown Miami/Brickell area. So
Yeah, and usually we stay at the Hilton downtown Miami, which is it's a decent hotel, right? It's
yeah.
Hilton. They continually are like repainting it and kind of keeping it clean. It's usually moderately priced though for our not Oasis Icon sailing next January or this coming January. It's a little on the pricier side, but this time we thought we'd stay at the Kimpton Epic. Had you ever stayed at a Kimpton hotel before this one?
No. And I think, for me, I'm always leaning towards the Hiltons, the Marriotts, ones that I'm familiar with, ones that I know from accessibility standpoint are solid. They're true and tested. But yeah, I was excited about actually going to the Kimpton Epic and trying something different this time.
Yeah, so the Kimpton Epic is down in downtown Miami, right on, I guess it's in Brickell. I don't know where Brickell starts or ends, but it's right there. Nice hotel. They have like not a rooftop, but like a pool deck that's really high up. Couple of restaurants, there as well too. And it's not luxury hotel. It is like a moderately like mid range, not even mid range. It's kind of pricey.
I would say like high end, not like your Four Seasons, but I'd say like higher than a Hilton. Price wise, I thought was a little more than I like to spend for one night.
Yeah, and we were supposed to, and this is, well, I don't know if it's my fault or not, but we were supposed to get some perks attached with that. And when I was doing the booking, there were some issues, and I had to talk to an agent, and they assured me everything was all set. And I pinged the hotel the day before, asked them about that specifically. They're like, "Oh yeah, no, you're all set." And then we get to the hotel, and sure enough, no perks. So learning lesson for me around you get a call. I guess those chat features just are in no bueno. So that would be my recommendation. But overall, it was a good hotel. Now we didn't end up eating at the hotel because some of the perks were supposed to be like some credits, to use on site. But we actually, surprisingly, I didn't even know this was there. I guess they had only been open for 4 weeks, but went over to Hell's Kitchen.
Which was a great experience. I'm glad it was a fun little like audible we called. We were like, okay, well, where are we going to go to dinner? We've been driving a good chunk of the day. We didn't want to, stay out too late because we were excited about our cruise. And come to find out, it was within like, I think 1/10 of a mile from the hotel. It was literally like down around the corner, basically.
Yeah, it's really, it is right near the Kimpton Epic, which is also right down the street from the Hyatt Regency,
Yep.
I think was there, and across from the JW
Yep.
Marriott. So there's like 3 hotels. So if you're not a Kimpton fan, you want to go stay at the JW because you're like loaded. Or some people really love Hyatt, right? I mean, I think everyone our brand is kind of Hilton. It's been our brand for a while.
Yep.
Some people, we like Hyatts, but the beds are always high.
They
At the Hyatts.
are. They are. And actually, funny you say that, Nate, because if you recall, I actually brought my sliding board this trip because I wasn't exactly sure. So for those that aren't aware, bed height is not does not fall under like any sort of ADA requirement. So you are never guaranteed to have a kind of normal height. I would say like 24-inch high bed. So we've been in hotels where it's on like a 30-inch plus.
I remember for our honeymoon, we stayed at the Hyatt Regency Coconut Point in Bonita Springs. This was before we lived down in Southwest Florida. And the bed was so high, we actually had them come in. They took the entire frame off the bed and basically put the box spring on the ground so that Colleen could transfer
Yeah.
without without needing assistance for our honeymoon. So again, I think we've also seen some pictures of some Hyatts where the beds do look a little bit lower, but I feel like we went to a few others after that, and it's kind of the same
Yeah.
thing. Like they're obsessed with, like, what's the high bed thing all about?
I don't know. And some of them are actually on like a platform, so you actually can't remove the frame either. So we've just, we've kind of unfortunately put Hyatt off to the side. But I have to say, Kimpton Epic, bed height was perfect, accessibility was amazing. It was just easy to get around. But for us, when it came to dinner time, we just needed something, I think, a little bit more relaxed, a little like more casual, where we could just wear shorts. So hence, we decided to go to
Yeah.
Hell's Kitchen.
And it was supposed to be, it said casual, but honestly, as the evening progressed, people were coming in. They were pretty much, I would say, like smart casual or
Yeah.
business casual. We were casual,
Like
casual.
really casual.
And that was one of the reasons I didn't want to eat on. I wanted to eat on site. There's like a sushi, like a Japanese restaurant in the Kimpton Epic, but like you have to get dressed. I think it was like no shorts.
Yep.
No sandals. You have to have shoes. And then they were like also like really into like if you're wearing jeans, I can't have like any. It's like, dude, like what is this, Lansdowne Street in Boston, circa 1994, and like the dress code, and they're looking and they're like, oh, your black is not black enough on your shirt. Get out, get out of here.
Yeah. But yes, Hell's Kitchen welcomed us with open arms. And I'll tell you, it was probably one of the best meals I've had in a very long time.
It was for I think sometimes you think about those restaurants and, with the chefs, this is Gordon Ramsay's restaurant. You're kind of like, okay, is it really going to be good? Is it just going to be kind of like, you're just kind of paying for the name and then the food behind it's not really good. But I was pleasantly surprised. And also I thought the staff was amazing. I thought they were super nice, kind of like over the top nice.
Yeah.
I mean, not that they're not nice in Miami, but I thought the staff was really nice and they explained everything to us. And of course you have that kind of theming going on. And I don't think I've watched Hell's Kitchen probably in 6-7 years. I mean, how many years in a row can you watch Chef Ramsay yelling at people, calling them donkeys and throwing pots at their head?
I mean, I asked a lot of questions too of our server because I saw like the red. So they've got like the kitchen is all open and exposed, so you can see the chefs preparing the food. They did tell me that there was no yelling and no swearing, so I was slightly disappointed. I wanted like the show part as well, but they had the red
That's
team.
the best part. I seriously, like, what's a meal unless like a pot barely misses someone's head, which actually happened. I used to work in a restaurant when I was in high school, and one of the chefs one night was really had it with the not the line cooks, the dishwashers. They weren't moving fast enough. So I guess that he felt the appropriate response at some point was telling them where they could all go while throwing a scalding hot pan at their heads.
So luckily, I guess for all of us, none of that occurred during the
very
dining
peaceful meal.
experience. But yeah, they had the red team, the blue team, they had their bandanas, and it was very orderly. And we did learn that they actually sent some of the kind of more lead chefs to from some of the other Hell's Kitchen restaurants to Miami to help kind of get it started. And then actually hired and interviewed some local, chefs that wanted that
I
experience.
think it was like, did he say 300 people? Or was it 3,000?
I thought it was 3,000.
Yeah, like 3,000 people applied for a job in this restaurant, which tells you, the brand of Gordon Ramsay. But I guess Gordon will at some point make a visit there. They don't tell them when he's coming for obvious reasons. He probably obviously wants to inspect kind of things. Maybe he does. You think he still does that like undercover show where he dresses up? What was that? Was that Kitchen Nightmares
I think
or
it was
something?
Kitchen Nightmares. I love that show.
That was great, but his like costumes were like ridiculous.
They were over the top. Yeah.
You know.
I mean, you couldn't tell it was Gordon, which was the whole intent.
Yeah. So, but food was really good. I don't even remember what I got for an appetizer, but I got the scallops.
You got the
which
scallops.
were really good, but you got that risotto was amazing.
I got the lobster risotto. So, Nate is the cook in our house, just so everyone knows, and he's a great cook, but he does not make risotto. And so
Because it's a pain to make risotto. Like you have to put it in the pot. You have to sit there and constantly stir it. It's not like it's like, the least favorite thing I want to do on a Monday night is sit over a hot stove stirring risotto.
and I totally understand Nate, and I
She
appreciate that.
doesn't. No, guys, honestly, she wants risotto every night.
So I ordered the lobster risotto, and it was phenomenal. It was very, very
She let me
good.
have one little bite.
Yeah,
Like the
I did.
tiniest bite. It was like I was Oliver Twist. I was like, please, sir, can I have some more? And she's like, more? What? Did you hear what he just said? More?
I was a little stingy with my portion that I allowed him to take. I'll be quite honest. It was so good.
Yeah.
But your main entree looked amazing.
Yeah, I did the beef Wellington, which was a super huge portion. Like it was pricey, but like I think it was like $45. Oh, it was part of I got that kind of fixed price meal, and I think it was like $85. You got an appetizer, entree, and a dessert. I think normally on its own it was like $50.
Yeah.
But it was huge.
It was very big. Cooked perfectly. Perfectly, I must add.
Yeah, and you can only get it one way.
Yes.
Medium rare.
Yes.
So don't go in and say, try to order your well done steak. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, they were pretty clear. Like it's only medium rare, and if you wanted another way, we're not making it. So
Yeah.
I think that was the touch of Gordon Ramsay actually coming out.
Yeah, that was, but it was very, very good. And of course, I can't take it back to our hotel room, so of course I have to eat the whole
Of course.
thing. But if you could probably split it if you wanted to.
Yeah, because it came with some like a potato puree.
You
and
could buy some
like,
sides too if you wanted to.
yeah. But honestly, on its own, with I think it was root vegetables, potato puree, and then the beef Wellington, that was a good portion for one person. But yeah, you could do all the other like shareable sides. But and then I ended up getting a chicken dish. I know that sounds so basic, but it was actually very good and very flavorful. And I'd absolutely get it again. I don't think it's one of like his signature known dishes, but nonetheless, it was amazing.
Well, I think you said you didn't want to. You knew you were going to be eating a lot of beef,
Yeah.
and you just didn't want to. But I have no problem with that. I eat steak every day. If it was up to me, here's how every meal would be. For breakfast, it would be just a bunch of scrambled eggs. For lunch, it would be a sandwich, and then every night would be a steak. Like if I was in charge of the menu, that would be the menu 7 days a week.
So you went like my Pinterest recipe recommendations that I offer up.
She's like, hey, let's switch something up. And then she's like, okay. And then I start to make dinner, and it's 75 minutes later,
I've gotten better, but we have to talk about the dessert, the sticky toffee.
Yeah, the sticky toffee. So
pudding.
Colleen doesn't want any dessert. She's like, no, I don't want dessert. And of course they bring her a spoon. And of course then she, basically ate like my whole dessert.
Okay, that's a bull-faced lie. You tell them the truth, Nate.
Okay, she ate 75% of the dessert.
I maybe had like 4 bites.
She did. She was good. It was very good. It was good. So if you're ever in Miami, staying on the mainland before your cruise, not cheap experience. I think with a couple drinks, a couple glasses of wine, looking at with tip. Now that's the other thing in Miami too. You gotta always be careful. A lot of the restaurants throw gratuity on automatically, so just check your tab. So all in, I think it was about $260 for dinner.
That was pricey, but yeah, we headed back to the hotel.
Can't take it with you. What are you gonna do?
That is true. But yeah, after the restaurant, we headed back to the hotel. We had a great night's sleep. I think it was pretty uneventful. It was quiet.
Yeah, and then we went in the morning. And this is the nice thing about Virgin too, is they do later boarding time. So our boarding time was until 2:45.
Yeah, so we took a little stroll. We it was nice actually. I could like sleep in a little bit, got ready, and then we actually walked over the bridge into Brickell.
I think that's official. Yeah, we went to the official Brickell. We were right on the edge.
Yeah, and so we went to this little. Well, we We did a lot of walking. We were trying to figure out where we actually were going to go. We had a plan, and then it was like,
Yeah, the first place I picked out was like, I thought it was a sit down restaurant, but it turned out to be like a grab and go espresso bar that was like like underneath a building in like the parking garage.
yeah. And Nate's like, we'll just eat here. And I'm like, it looks so sketchy. So we just kept walking, which the backup place ended up being, I think, great. It was down a little side road.
Yeah, was it the B Bistro?
Yep, B Bistro Bakery.
B Bistro Bakery. Yeah, really good food there. The croissants were spot on. Not quite Paris level, but close.
Yeah, Nate is a aficionado of the, was it Au Pain Chocolate something?
Au pain chocolat. But you know, if you ever go to France and you go to Paris and you eat bread, all bread is ruined for you for the rest of life, especially, you know, here in the United States. Like, it's just impossible. And croissants will be ruined for it. You'll never everything will just compare back to and they must have like a croissant standard in Paris, because you can't, I could never find a bad croissant in anywhere in Paris.
Well, B Bistro Bakery, I think, was a good close second. I actually, in order to get the pastry into my into my meal, I ended up getting like a chicken salad on a croissant, and it was just perfect. It was light. It was exactly what I needed, just to kind of hold me over, because I knew once we get on the cruise ship, we were just gonna be eating nonstop.
Yeah,
So
I did the eggs Benedict, the crab eggs Benedict, and that was really, really, really good. So not cheap, and like I said in the video, so the Virgin Voyages video, again, go check that out. Just launched that yesterday. There's nowhere cheap to eat
no,
in Miami or in Brickell. Definitely a very expensive place. But overall, you know, after that, we headed over to the port. Actually, from the hotel, I think that was one of the other things about the Kimpton Epic. It's kind of there's two bridges that go into the port of Miami. This bridge happens to take you over and kind of connects to the side of the port that's furthest, that's actually nearest to the Virgin terminal. So if anything, that was one thing that was an advantage. It was, I mean, I kid you not, it was what, 5 minutes from the Kimpton Epic to the terminal.
Yeah, it was quick. I think when I Google mapped it, I think it said it was going to be 9 minutes, but that morning there was no traffic. There was none of the, like, normally you get the
was a
chaos
Wednesday
of the trucks, like bringing in all the food. Like what you think about when we sailed out of Norwegian, out of Royal, you get all that kind of extra chaos going on. We never saw any of that.
No, but this is the other thing. So Virgin does a lot of short cruises, which actually, one thing I'm going to recommend right now is, if you haven't been on Virgin and you're thinking about going on Virgin, don't do a short cruise. Do a 7-day.
Yeah.
If you can. And I think a lot of people are doing short cruises, and I don't know if Virgin intentionally did that, because I feel like now I'm seeing more longer cruises from them. I feel like they did short cruises because people were kind of uncertain about that. But I think if I even try a new cruise line again in the future, I'm going to do 7 days, only because by the time you really start to, because again, we are not, folks, just for the record, we are not full-time YouTubers or podcasters. We have full-time jobs. So when we go on these, you know, vlogging trips, and this one is very much a working trip, but you know, we do like to try to decompress a little bit. And I will tell you though, I only start to decompress on a cruise by like day 3.
Yep, exactly. So basically on this cruise, no sooner did we start to relax, start to get familiar with the layout of the cruise ship.
The ship is so differently laid out.
It really is. So it was no sooner than we were packing again. So I agree. And I think it's hard to, like, you know, get off the ship and feel like you've really experienced everything. I mean, that disembarkation morning, we were still exploring.
Yeah, there was actually places, and you'll see this in the videos. We're not going to give too much away, but
No.
you know, we didn't even see. There was one venue, not the Red Room, but I think it's like the club, like one of the clubs off of the casino that we never even went to.
No.
Never even got a chance to go to.
No. So let's talk a little bit about onboarding day.
Yeah, so onboarding day. So a couple things about onboarding day to really get into the nitty gritty is, first of all, you're going to be assigned a time to show up.
Yep.
don't show up early.
No.
Don't show up. I mean, it was also a little unusual because they did have a server crash, which did delay things. So when I say don't show up early, I don't mean don't show up early. I just mean don't show up like you do at other cruise ports, like an hour and a half
Right.
before your cruise time, and expect that you're going to get early onboarding.
Right. And I think another highlight is, you are not waiting inside an air conditioning. You are basically standing outside in a queue for your time slot. So there are, I call them the Disneyland lines, but basically they have them you lined up by 2, 2:30 or 2, 2:15, 2:30, 2:45, 15-minute increments, and you stand in those lines until they're ready to bring you on the ship.
Yeah. And now, I don't know. It was a little chaotic. Normally, Colleen, whenever she gets seen, because she's in her wheelchair, usually somebody grabs her and is like, oh, come this way. Not this. Now, it did happen eventually. Someone saw us waiting in line and said, oh, come over here. But usually, Colleen kind of, one of the members of the staff will be like, oh, ma'am, come this way. And like, saying we just skipped the line. Like, I think pretty much almost every time we end up skipping some portion of the line.
Yeah. But this time, I mean, it was fine. We got there early, and
We got to experience like everybody else.
Yes. We stood in line. So just, I would say maybe a half hour before your onboarding time is probably a great time to get in line, wait, park in the parking garage if you drove, or, but just don't think you're going to get there early and get on the ship. But yeah, they came over. You'll see in our YouTube video that there was some technical difficulties, so things got a little delayed.
And people are just like, I mean, it's like instant complaining.
Yeah.
Like instant, like you at your job, right? Whatever you do for work, right? You do it so perfectly. You never make a mistake. You never cause any other grief for everyone because you're just that perfect in life. And I'm just like, man, people, stuff happens. Especially one thing is, and I think this is true for all cruise lines, right? I mean, they're getting more reliant on technology.
Mm-hmm.
And when that technology breaks, like everything comes to a halt, which again, there's probably some things they could think about to have some redundancies built into place so stuff like that doesn't happen, but it's gonna happen. And when it does, it's just, it's kind of unfortunate. But overall, I mean, if it had been smooth, if we didn't have that, we probably would have gotten on maybe a little bit earlier, maybe only like 30 minutes earlier than our time, if that, maybe 15 or 20 minutes. So show up. Virgin suggests you show up 30 minutes before your time to be called up. And I think that's probably good advice.
Yep, I agree. And so once we got into the terminal, I mean, we flew. It was like, this way, go to this elevator, go up to this floor.
I couldn't even shoot video. I was moving so fast. At one point, actually, you didn't see this and you won't see it in the video I took, but as we're like going up the gangway, I almost tripped and like literally like fell right over because I was moving so fast. Yeah, I was trying to film and I couldn't even just get my bearings because people were like, go, 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 go.
Yeah, they were definitely trying to get you on the ship. But, once, and again, as we were kind of making our way, we were kind of through the full terminal and we were right about entering the gangway area. And a gentleman came over and immediately started pushing me, which I thought was really nice. Again, we didn't ask for extra assistance on board, but always appreciated. And before we knew it, poof, we're on the ship.
Yep, poof, we were on the ship. So overall, I think it was a good first day. The room was super accessible, so definitely check out that video. But by far, as accessible as Celebrity or Royal, which we've kind of put as like the pinnacle, right? I think right now for like room accessibility, NCL, you're on my list forever. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch our onboarding day for NCL Haven, which was just a cluster, And when we got to it wasn't all bad, but NCL is definitely on my list permanente.
Yeah. But the room was great. The bed height was phenomenal. I have to also call out that the bed could actually be shifted. So if you needed a little bit more room on the right side or the left side, Nate tested this out and he was sliding the bed all around.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it won't move while you're on there, but it was definitely, it's one of those things like, if depending on your wheelchair, like if you had a mechanical wheelchair or you had some type of lift or something like that, the ability to actually physically move the bed
yeah.
is a huge advantage. And a lot of these cruise lines, like, back to my friends at NCL, bolt that thing in place
Yeah.
and there's nothing you can do about it. So
Yeah.
I thought the room was great. I thought it was set up really well. It was probably actually on the smaller side for an accessible room, but it was still enough room.
It was very functional. I mean, and people poo-poo on the on the closet situation. I absolutely loved it. Not having the closet doors and just having the curtain, and then not having like what Royal and Celebrity have, which is the kind of pull down
Oh yeah,
rod.
the things that like you have to like have superhuman strength to like pull down because they're usually so because nobody uses them. A lot of the times the accessible rooms end up going a while without someone using them.
Yeah.
Or someone that's not doesn't need them. So those things get super tight. I mean, like they always need WD-40.
Yeah. And the coat hangers are swinging everywhere, falling off. I mean, this was just a locked lower rod and it was just so easy. There was not one thing that I was like, Nate, can you help me reach this? Like I got to everything. The bathroom, first I've ever seen on a cruise ship. So all I had to do was wand my hand in front of the door and it automatically opened. And then once I was in there, it probably gave 30 seconds or so, and then it eventually closed.
Yeah. So, and that was nice because normally you can't get up without making a tremendous amount of noise.
Right.
And it's any of these doors, they always are just slamming shut.
Yeah.
The only thing is the door to the cabin was not doesn't have a mechanical, but it was very light.
It was, and I tested it and I was easily able to pull it open, which I think is a plus. And to be honest, like Nate's such an early bird and he's up, and every other cruise ship he hits that automatic button because it's the only way to actually open and close the door.
And Colleen, so just so you know, Colleen is not a morning person.
Nope.
In fact, I liken her to a sleeping dragon, and the last thing you want to do is wake up a sleeping dragon because it will find you and burn you to a crisp.
And maybe bite your head off. So I actually thought it was a plus to not have the main cabin door as an automatic door.
I would agree. As long as you're traveling with someone, I could see if you were by yourself, it might be a little bit tricky to get the door closed behind you. But if you're with someone, it's definitely a lot better experience. Again, so overall, I mean, I thought the room was great. And I think that's about as much as we're gonna give away today.
Okay. All right.
Was there something else you were going to
I didn't know if you wanted to talk a little bit about the muster too. Muster's a little different.
Muster's a cluster. It wasn't too bad, but
Muster's like I think a hybrid of the old way and the post-pandemic way.
Yeah, so you watch a video either on the app or in your room, then you acknowledge that you've watched the video. But then they now still like Royal. I like the way Royal and Celebrity do it, which is you do it like, first of all, you watch the video before you even get on the ship the day of, and then you just go right to your muster station, you check in, you're done.
Yeah.
Right. And then the rest of the day. This is like kind of the old way where you get on, you're doing something, you're having lunch, and now all of a sudden it's like time for everybody to do the muster. And they set up the muster stations, and you could be where we were having like whatever late afternoon snack, like all of a sudden became a muster station. They're like, oh, you have to, they didn't kick us out, but they were kind of like, well, we kind of need the space for the musters. So if you wouldn't mind, if you're, as long as you're okay with the muster going on, so there I am eating grilled octopus, and they're, talking about, putting their life jackets on.
But I think we need to give a visual for folks. So basically, the old way was they took, things like the theater or some of like the big venues, and they'd pile you all in there. So, there'd be maybe 300 people. You'd all get in there. Well, what Virgin does is they kind of take little areas, and you have a window. So you can go anywhere between, I think it was like 4 and 5:30. And you then just kind of have to sit and wait. And they, they break it up. So it might be like, 10 people at the time. And you all sit and you watch the kind of presentation and how to put your life preserver on. Granted, it's super short.
It is super short.
But it's during like onboarding and in major traffic areas, I would say.
Yeah, and they said that you could find your muster station in the app, but I looked everywhere, and
Yeah.
I'm pretty savvy on finding things, and like I couldn't find it. We just asked someone, and they told us where we were at, because I wasn't going to go back to the room to look on the back of the door to be like, okay, where's our
Right.
muster station? But it was fine. They have these really weird. The life vests are super weird now.
They were, and I was actually really paying attention to how the life preserver went on because
I wasn't. I'd be dead.
don't worry, I would treat you like my child and put it on you first, Nate.
No, you're supposed to put yours on
Oh,
first,
yeah, that's
right? It's like the
right.
oxygen mask. You
Yeah.
put yours on first, and then help the people.
Yeah, but it's very different. It's very, very different. But yeah, I think that was something unique. And I think also different with Virgin is you've got your galley, so your AKA your buffet. And I think that's a big, attraction for boarding day, but it's a little chaotic, probably like every other cruise ship. But they also have some other venues, and we went to the dock and got some bites, and so you can eat out
Yeah,
basically in the aft of the ship.
that's the pro tip. Is
Yep.
go to the dock, and that was actually told to me by someone that works at Virgin Voyages, that like everyone makes the mistake and goes right to the galley. They like go to the aft of the ship on deck 7
Mm-hmm.
and sit down, and you can get some nice Mediterranean bites. They were delicious. It was actually some of the best food on the ship.
It really was, and I was surprised. And we were like, oh, we'll just do one of everything. And the food came, and I was like, what are we doing, Nate? We've got, we had the Italian, which is extra virgin that evening, and so I was like, oh, how am I going to be able to eat later? But
But you managed somehow. You did it.
Somehow I got it down.
Yeah,
But
and then and then you have to check out the video. Sailaway party was great. It was just high energy. There was none of the as I call it, like wedding dances.
yeah, like none of the cha-cha and the line dance and kind of all that stuff. It was just high energy. And so there's a small window too where they basically pass out free glasses of champagne. And so they were at one point, I think Nate and I were both double fisting glasses of
Well,
champagne.
it was because they were like, oh, they didn't want us to have to go get it, so they
Yeah.
just brought us over
Yeah.
twice as much champagne, which I thought was really nice. In fact, it was funny. I showed the picture at work, and of course, that was the first thing my new boss picked up on. She's like, I guess she's from the UK, and they called it double parked. So she's like, you had to said double, we call it like double fisted. It's double parked in the UK, and I'm like, yeah. I'm like, maybe that wasn't the picture to share.
But
our
it
team
was
chat.
fun. It was the best sail away. And so they've got, instead of like your typical cruise director on Virgin, they have what they call the
Happenings cast.
Happenings cast. Thank you, Nate. And it's basically a group of people that kind of act as your cruise director.
So
And-
unpopular opinion right now, because I like to stir the pot.
okay.
I don't like cruise directors. I don't like them as I don't dislike them as human beings. Like, they're fine. I just don't like the role. I feel like it's very kind of, I don't know, like I didn't miss it
Yeah.
having it.
Yeah. I would say these guys, I mean, it's a mix of like men and women and different ages, and they're just like high energy out there dancing, and they really just kind of bring the joy out.
Yeah, leave a comment down below. Are you team cruise director, or are you team not cruise director? I think that one's going to get me a lot of shade, because there's like people that are like fans
Oh, yeah.
of cruise directors out there.
Yep. They actually like follow their favorite cruise directors to whatever cruise line they move to. But
And whatever ship they move to. Sometimes people make a decision on what cruise ship to go on based on the cruise director.
yeah. No, I think I'm good. But yeah, that was a really, really fun sail away. We had a great dinner. So stay tuned. We're going to be doing all of our Navigate the Plates with this series as well. And we dined on, for the short cruise we're on, we dined on, I think, almost every venue.
Yeah, the only venue we did not do was the test kitchen. And I know the person I work with at Virgin was like, you've got to go do the test kitchen. And of course, I didn't go do the test kitchen. So Sorry. I mean, I don't know. It looks interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I like trying like different foods. I mean, I think Nate and I would consider ourselves both like adventurous.
Next one we'll do it. I mean, we're
Yeah.
on there for 8 nights. Next, not this December, but next December.
Right.
So we'll give it a shot
Yeah.
for you, just for you. So if we go to the test kitchen and we don't like it, just know it's everyone's fault watching this today.
Well, I would say I don't think it's a case that we're not going to like it. I think it's that we may need to go get pizza afterwards.
Yeah, we actually never did get pizza.
We didn't.
I mean, there was just stuff that, again, that's why I'm like, don't do the 5 nights. You're honestly, or if you're gonna do, because ours was like a 4 night
Yep.
followed by a 5 night, do that. Do a back to back. Honestly, like you're not gonna regret it.
Yeah. Agreed. Well, I think it was a great onboarding experience, and feel free to reach out if you've got specific questions. I'm sure Nate and I would be
Yep.
more than happy to answer because there was a lot.
Yep. And just a last plug, we are doing our New Year's Eve. It'll be New Year's Eve 2024. So that's December of 2024. We'll be doing our New Year's Eve cruise. We'd love to have you come along. I mean, we have no idea if this is going to work or not. It may be a very small group cruise. It may be a larger group cruise. It may be just us cruising because nobody wants to cruise with it, which is fine too. We'll have a fun time and forget that we ever promoted a group cruise. But if you do, the details are down below. Again, group those rooms are selling out on that cruise. I mean, people want to do New Year's on Virgin Voyages because it is so much fun. I mean, we don't know what to expect. All we do know is that we will be in port in San Juan on New Year's Eve. I'm making an assumption it's probably gonna be Scarlet Night as well too. That would be logical, right? That
Right.
Scarlet Night would align with New Year's Eve. Maybe
Yep.
not. I don't know. But anyways, it should be a good time. But I think that's gonna do it for us today. So again, we appreciate you watching. If you enjoy these videos, we'd welcome you to subscribe. We just recently passed over the 2,000 subscriber mark. So thank you all of you who are currently subscribed. Thank you very much. We appreciate not only you subscribing, but all of the kind words that you send to us. And again, if you do need to book a cruise, you can head on over to nywtravel.com. That is nywtravel.com. We do everything, not just Virgin Voyages. We'll take great care of you. And other than that, thanks for tuning in. And remember to
Navigate your world.